right, so we are panel 3 on top of coffee chaos. Right before a break, we've lost half the audience. So what I really want is like a FOMO-inducing, celebrity-citing scream from the audience that gets everyone back in because they might think I'm Hailey Bieber or something that just surprised everyone to show up. So can you do that with me?
Yes. 1,
2, 3.
They're coming in.
Rihanna's here. People are running. Well, hello, everyone. I'm Christopher Skinner, Chief Revenue Officer, co-founder of Front Row. We're excited to be here today. We're going to talk to you about the indie advantage of connected commerce. What do we mean when we say connected commerce? Ultimately, if you're driving a brand today, you know that customer journey is very chaotic. It's looped, it's layered, it's always on. People are discovering everywhere, validating everywhere, converting everywhere. And so ultimately, where do you start? How do you resource? And that's what we're going to talk about. I have 3 of my very good friends and brand partners on stage with me. And here we go. So Nichola, co-founder of McLeod, an incredible body care brand. We did work together on brand sharpening, right? So not necessarily developing a brand from the beginning, but really sharpening what magic already existed.
Yep.
And as a part of that, we really landed 2 kind of like paths for messaging, functional and emotional. Functional meaning like, what are you getting out of this for your body? Emotional meaning like, what is your soul? What is that community bringing? Tell me a little bit about building that sharpening and like creating the North Star. What did it do for you and your team? Like, what did it bring?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, our brand, started in Kate's kitchen. And so she was a former pastry chef, and she started working with her favorite ingredient, cocoa butter, and applying in its solid form to her body, right? And so there's always been this sort of dual messaging in our brand. One is like the incredible efficacy of our pure plant butter ingredients and what they're going to do for your skin. But then there's also this deeper message, which is around, right, somatic wellness, connecting with your body, creating a moment of self-care in that ritual. And so I think, in our early journey as a team, that duality tripped us up. I think that we thought it was tricky. We had to either choose one lane, or another. And I think through our work with Front Row and your team, I think it's just been really amazing to sort of come to a realization that actually that is a loop in itself, right? That you have, on the one hand, and you came up with these beautiful phrases for us, you have moisture to melt for, right? There's like this functional experience that is going to sort of draw the customer in from an acquisition perspective, that this is like an incredible moisturizing product. And then on the other side, you have a moment to melt into, right? So this is a moment of self-care. And so you really crystallized for us those 2 messages, and then also really helped us understand that this is, an interplay between the 2, where we're really hooking people with that functional message, but we're keeping them in the community by building that ritual around self-care. And so I think for what it's done for us, it's completely changed the way that we message and show up across channels, and we've seen real results. So we are up, thank you very much, 75% year over year this year, just by sharpening our messaging system. We have strengthened retail sales. And then, I think most importantly, we're just building that community, and we're seeing that retention really come into play.
And talk a little bit about, you've done such an amazing job of like taking that work and bringing it out into the world. Tell us a little bit about that micro community activation and engagement, particularly around runners and, pairing products with micro communities. And how have you approached that? What have you gotten out of that?
Yeah, so I think for us, like we are just as a body moisturizer, we have a broad customer base, right? Our customers tend to be in like that 35 to 50 age range. But because of these sort of evergreen functional and emotional hooks, we've been able to tap into communities that, really would have surprised me going into this. So one of those communities is the long distance running community. We have one product that's called our Recovery Stone, and it's infused with arnica and ginger. And so, it was initially intended to be sort of a muscle soothing balm, but we really got a lot of outreach from this long distance running community about how they were using it as an anti-chafe balm before they would go go on, their runs. And then, that was the functional sort of way they were using it. But then they were also, from that emotional perspective, they were creating all of these sort of like pre-race rituals around, rubbing it on their legs, sort of honoring their body before doing this intense, half marathon or marathon. And so I think for us, it's really, picking up on the ways that our customers and different communities are utilizing the functional hook and the emotional hook, and then really tailoring some of that message to really, those are the ways you really build those relationships, and that's been really key for us.
And Connie, co-founder of Three Ships Beauty, very dissimilar. You're so performance-based, right? When we started working together, you were pretty much like, who cares if it's on brand, like as long as it performs, right? And then we went through this full process very similarly. How did that change your perspective?
Yeah, so up until that point, I feel like the way that we talked about the brand was very much with our points of difference. So it was like, okay, maybe we're natural, we're effective, we're affordable, but these talking points differed depending on who was talking about the brand and in what channel. So it was very confusing for our audience because they didn't really know what we offered and one thing that we stood for. So after we did our brand sharpening work, we got really clear on what our purpose was, which is to ensure that everyone has agency over the ingredients they're using on their skin. And when we had that clear reason for being, that helped us create our brand guide. And that brand guide was this shared universe of what we could say and what we wouldn't say about the brand. And that was a shared North Star between our brand and our growth teams. Because up until that point, it felt like brand was this Wild West over here doing their own thing, throwing things at the wall, seeing what would stick. And this brand guide brought us together. So one example is the UGC content creators that we would source on the growth side for ads almost felt like they could bleed into our brand photo shoots and be part of that model shoot. Or like the fonts and the color hierarchies that we would use in email and ads also felt like they could live on the site. So this really helped us because consumers, no matter where they were finding the brand, they felt like they were meeting us in one Three Ships universe, and that really helped to improve performance.
And not a lot of people know this, but you and your co-founder started Three Ships with $3,000. Hustle is like a part of your DNA. Talk to us a little bit about like the presence that you both have. I mean, you've even gone to the point where you're running ads from your personal Instagram accounts. Like the presence of the two of you in front of your community, what does that mean? What does it mean to you?
Founder-led storytelling really builds trust and connection, which leads to performance, which is what we all care about. So one example is when we took a look at our founder ads, so ads that had myself or my co-founder in it versus ads without, we saw that the click-through rates were double. Our watch times were 1.5 times longer, and also the cost per through play was half. So these are really great results. And I mean, it makes sense because in today's day and age, consumers are so jaded by the marketing that they're seeing. There's so much distrust. So if you think about it, a customer sees us from a whitelisted ad that comes from a personal account that piques their interest. They fall in love with the founder story, and then they try the products and they fall in love with the products. That's a very powerful long-term customer. So for the founders out there, if you think about it, try whitelisting from your account because then people are hearing about your brand, not just from one brand account, but you could double or triple where they're hearing about you from. Because for us, it's from my account, it's my co-founder's account, and from Three Ships Beauty. But if there are indie beauty founders in the audience and you don't necessarily have the budget or ability to test this, a micro thing that you can try is live shopping. I feel like not enough founders do live shopping, and it's so easy, it's low budget. We just use my iPhone at the office, and we just sit in front of the camera for like 45 minutes to an hour, no props, nothing fancy. And we do this for every product launch. So the last product launch that we did, we saw that our average order value was 60% higher than the same day when we launched that product. So that's wild. And then also our add to carts were double what we saw on launch day. So it goes to show the power of founder. And so my main takeaway for you is that founder is an extension of the brand, and when used appropriately, it can really help to grow your brand.
I love it. Can we give it up for Rosie? She's been bootstrapping in indie for over 10 years now. I'm like, she's like a vision of what we're all here to do. So Rosie, you talk about this audience as like the giant, wonderful middle,
Yes.
right? And it's not luxury, it's not mass, right? It's just real, it's relatable.
Yeah.
And when we were kind of prepping for this, I asked you, like, what's the secret to the success over these years? And you
Yeah.
said consistency.
Yes. I mean, ultimately when I launched by Rosie Jane, which was in 2010, the world of clean fragrance didn't exist. So we were the original clean fragrance brand, and all we were trying to do was get that message across, why we were different, what we stood for. And now I think our consumer, they don't shop in the way that we talk about it internally, in prestige, in mass. They're what's convenient, where are they already at, and if where we're showing up has that consistent, tell that story through it, it feels relatable, it feels like something that they can trust, that they can build on, and then they're not going to, it doesn't matter if they're shopping us at Sephora or on Amazon, Air One, wherever. It just becomes this beautiful storytelling moment which people get behind. Our consumers are fully invested in what we stand for, why we exist, and that's what we keep pushing forward.
And I know you've grown organically over these years using consistency, but like, how do you balance that with testing and learning, right? Like, where do you sort of break the rules for yourself to try something new,
Yeah.
but also be true to yourself at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, as an indie brand, we're nimble. We also manufacture in-house, so it makes it a little easier for us. But we were talking about this before, our D2C, our .com is a great testing platform. We also listen to our community. We want their feedback. And if something maybe isn't working, we can tweak it. We have that ability to be able to maneuver quite quickly. But, the voice of our community and our fan base is the most important voice, right? And if we can speak to them, get their thoughts, that is only going to drive us forward.
I love it. And you started to talk about D2C, and I think for a lot of us, we're trying to figure out, like, what is the role of D2C right now?
Yeah.
And Connie, I want to come back to you because D2C has always been kind of core to your distribution strategy. It's 70% of your business. Like, what are you testing and trying? Like, why is it so important to 3Shibs?
Yeah, D2C is so powerful because it is like that testing ground that Rosie mentioned. We are constantly testing on D2C, and what we learn, we apply to in-store. So, for example, we'll test different product sizes on D2C before we decide whether or not to launch in-store. We'll also look at the best performing bundles or different products that are usually purchased together to inform kit decisions. So actually, just like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was looking in our Shopify data. If you look at the app Lifetimely, it gives you an indication of which products are most often purchased together. And so I brought that data to our holiday kit brainstorm meeting for 2026 kits. So I think D2C is so powerful because of this data that you have, but also because you can scale profitably. Being a smaller brand, it's so much more affordable to be able to talk to customers that are subscribed to your mailing list, you're following on Instagram, being part of your loyalty program. And because this is more affordable and because our products really work and we have a really great repeat rate, that leads to a bigger LTV that we can use to fund our in-store activations. So that's the way we think about how D2C and wholesale work together. D2C is like that profit engine for us, and we're able to use that profit to pay for some of these trade marketing programs that honestly can be quite expensive and usually have some fixed fees. But it's also a flywheel effect, obviously, because then people find us in store, maybe you fall in love with the brand there, and then you buy from D2C because you want the gifts with purchase. So I think D2C, to sum it up, is really the way that we've been able to grow triple digits profitably. And yeah, I wouldn't discount D2C.
I love it. And Nichola, talk to us a little bit about channel sequencing, right? Because it almost feels like you have to be everywhere all the time and like always on your game, just the way that the customer is navigating. Like, how have you thought about the sequencing and the role of channels in this kind of collapsed distribution world?
Yeah, I think sequencing and like prioritization of channels has been key. I mean, we're at a lot of different points of distribution now, but that was layered in over time. And so I think, right out the gate, I mean, honestly, our first channel as a bootstrap brand, we were at a holiday market. And so we would literally sell the product in person, which had, some incredible learnings for us as we built out our sales platform and distribution strategy over time. But then, from there, I think direct to consumer really was like our primary area of focus. We have a different product, right? It looks different. I think in the beginning, the early days, people mistook it for a soap, right? It's not. It's a solid moisturizer. It's a lotion bar. We have a lot of education to do. There's a lot of demonstration to do. And so direct to consumer is the place that we could really build out that messaging platform, test, learn, understand what's working, and then what we can bring to a retailer. And then the retailer is really providing that experience, right? This is a product that is amazing to demonstrate. You want to touch it, you want to smell it, you want to feel it, and that retail environment is the only place, right? You can't do that, as well digitally. And so as we've expanded and we launched with Sephora, and then now we're also with Nordstrom, and we're able to sort of really focus in on those two priority retailers who are both different, and they're both serving different customer bases, and we're able to really sort of tap in with our storytelling within those two environments. And then I think one big question we always get is Amazon. Are you on it? We are, but it's resellers selling our product, and so I think as we grow, Amazon wasn't a channel for us at the beginning because we just felt like we didn't have the storytelling platform that we now do, and so I think going forward that will be a great channel for us, both for retention, because I think Amazon historically has been all about retention, but I think now Amazon is really becoming about discovery, and so as customers are using Amazon for discovery, we need to make sure our brand is protected and we're bringing that same brand experience to that touch point as well. So Amazon is definitely a priority for us for 2026 as we carefully and in a prioritized way expand our distribution strategy.
And speaking of Amazon, and you said it, I didn't, we've been working together on Amazon for 5 or 6 years now.
Yes.
Right? And when we...
It's longer.
Really longer?
Yes.
Oh, that's crazy.
I know.
What I loved when we were talking, to prepare for this, you were sort of saying every time you would lift your head, there was another platform, another channel, and you're like, well, shit, I think I have to be there now.
Yes.
And and so when we started working on Amazon, you were a bit kind of concerned. Now it's your number 3 channel.
Yeah.
What has surprised you?
Well, I think when I feel like a dinosaur in terms of the fact that I've been running my company for 15 years, but Amazon at that point was a scary place for beauty. You did not want to buy it there. They were, counterfeit. There was knockoffs. Everyone thought they were dupes. Yeah. There was no trust. So when we kind of baby stepped into it, we were introduced to you guys from the founders of Youth to the People. And they were like, we're really seeing this incredible traction. It's starting to change. And that's when we dipped our toe into the environment. It goes back to what we were talking about with D2C. D2C, I look at as our autobiography, right? It's full, deep, as much storytelling as you want to put in there. And then you have these incredible retail partners like an Amazon, where it's the extension of that, but maybe just the highlights. And with Amazon, we've really built this beautiful storefront that feels like an extension of our D2C. And that, I think, has led the customer to trust it more, understand it. They're on there, and the convenience element of it, right? They're buying loo brushes and, household goods and their perfume and their lipstick, and that is this wonderful...
And trash bags, by the way.
And trash bags. Hopefully biodegradable ones.
Yes, true.
But that's where this wonderful sort of messy middle is for us as a brand. Consumers want, and community, convenience.
Yeah.
And trustability. And that's what I think it's changed so much for us with Amazon. And it's become a discovery platform as well.
And can you talk a little bit about that creative content first approach on Amazon that you've really taken? It's not just about subscribe and save and all of this.
Yeah.
The storytelling aspect, which is so important to you and your category. How has that shown up?
It has to be there because everyday consumers don't understand how the back end works. What they're looking for is something that's relatable, something that's trustworthy, something that means something to them. And Amazon is a massive marketplace. And there is still a lot of scary stuff on there. But us being able to come at it from a visual and storytelling perspective has allowed our customer to be like, oh, this is real. This is a real store which is essentially on Amazon. So that visual element and the storytelling element has become, so important for us. And it's who we are as a brand anyway.
And I want to ask, because we've talked a lot about different channels and how you approach each and brand as this sort of through line. as you think about this connected system, right, where customers are like hopping across platforms and channels within minutes, sometimes they're like on digital shelves standing in front of a physical shelf, like, and when you think about this like as fully connected, what does that unlock for you as like brand leaders? And let's just go down the row.
Yeah. I mean, I think for us, like the big unlock for us in thinking about this is like, it is all connected. And so I think when you lead with story and you have your story, everything else is going to follow. And you can't have different stories for different channels because the customer is expecting to sort of have your brand show up in a consistent way across all of those channels. And so I think really just thinking about what is our story and how is that showing up and just thinking about it holistically. I think you can get trapped into sort of thinking about everything as siloed, but that's just not the way that customers are interacting. And so you have to be really thoughtful about that.
Yeah.
And I think that's really unlocked just overall growth, right? And in many ways, some of these channels, they're not necessarily competing with each other, right? People are going to shop the way they're going to shop. So it's less about like the cannibalization that, that you sort of concern. And it's more about how do we actually just amplify our brand and then have that, just spill over across channels.
I love that. I feel like the word cannibalization is so like 5 years ago. Like it's just like it's like one customer and they're kind of everywhere. And I love what you're saying. Like story is the North Star. Connie, what about you?
Yeah, I think that's really true. And because we need a consistent story, we're really big into process at 3 Ships. So I guess that would be my main takeaway on this is try to make everything into a process. So you have your weekly syncs where you're sharing your cross learnings together and your brand team is telling your growth team what they're seeing hit on Instagram. And then you're using that for new ad angles or PR pitch angles. And you're making sure that those learnings are being cross-shared and that the story is aligned across wherever customers are finding you.
I love it. And quickly, I think when we hear the word like agility, people think chaos, like there's just like mad chaos everywhere. When you actually defined agility as process, which I think is like a bit contradictory, like at first glance. Like, talk a little bit about like what you mean when you say that.
I could talk process all day, but we love a good process. I mean, it helps you move faster, helps you scale faster, helps you catch mistakes faster, which means that you're avoiding costly mistakes, which means you can scale more profitably. So yeah, process is everything at 3 Ships. One example that we use at 3 Ships is we have a weekly content review meeting where the heads of different departments will come and share what worked in their channels last week. So like Instagram versus ads, let's just say. And then we share those learnings across channels, and we usually apply them within 2 weeks. So you're able to move faster. So one example that I can think of is recently we had an organic piece of content that we were tagged in that had incredible engagement. And when we double-clicked on that, we saw that the content creator was talking about how hard it was for her to find natural skincare that worked when she was trying to conceive. And that was an aha moment for us because up until that point, we had talked about how we're pregnancy friendly and breastfeeding friendly, but we had never moved further upstream in the fertility journey to talk about when you're trying to conceive. So when that was shared in this weekly sync, which is all process, then we took that learning and we applied it to create new ad concepts, new PR pitches. And so yeah, highly recommend a good process.
All right. I see like the 3 Ships project management tool. Is
Yeah. That's my next business, guys.
Yes, exactly. We're taking investment if anyone's
blend
interested.
because I'm all emotion and you're all
I need more emotions.
And I'm always like, oh, what the heck's the process? Oh, it doesn't matter. I feel good about it. Let's go this way. It's like.
Oh, you need to give me your heart.
Yeah.
So Rosie, asking you like the connected system, right? Like when you think about it all connected with one another and you're kind of wrapping your arms around it, what does it unlock for you?
I mean, I think also because we're a smaller brand, we're an indie brand, all our teams are integrated, right? So everyone's wearing multiple hats, we're all talking to each other, but now the retail landscape is that marketing and sales channels are one, right? Everywhere that you're really talking about your brand or marketing or doing anything like that, you're able to shop it in real time. So the connection between those two, they ultimately have the same goal, right? Which is to help people understand what they're getting from us, why we're different, why we're special, and communicating that together. So yeah, I mean, as a small integrated team, it's such an important part of our growth and our strategy. But it's also this singular goal, right? We really know who our customer is. Everyone's moving towards the same thing. We're kind of wrapping our arms around that wholeheartedly and being like, this is what we stand for, this is why we're different, and this is why we're special.
So we have 1 minute before we have questions. We will open for Q&A, and I know a lot of you in here, so I'm going to just start calling people's names and make you ask questions. But before we do that very awkward and uncomfortable thing, like we're all here to like learn, right? We want to take something back that we can apply to our business. Like hearing everyone's story is great, but like what's that kind of that key takeaway that's actionable? Like 10 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's story for me. Just spending time on what is your story, what are those functional hooks, what are those emotional hooks, and I think if I could do it all over, I would have really invested with Kate time, because when you get that, that's where the efficiency unlocks, and you're really able to scale your concept and your idea in really powerful ways.
Scaling through story, I love it. Connie.
I would say if I could go back in time and give myself advice, it would be to level up my time and try to delegate more. I think as indie founders, we can try to hold on to everything because we've done it ourselves for so long. So try to get real with how much your hour is worth. If you want a quick calculation, it's salary divided by 2,000 hours, and that gives you the rough dollar value of your work hour. Try not to do too many things below that.
Can't wait for your book.
I know.
Rosie.
And for me, I think it's growing a strong foundation, and not to be scared of slow, good, consistent growth. We're in an industry and a world right now where it's like, grow, grow, grow. If you're not growing at 300%, you're failing, right? It's like the good, consistent growth is what will keep you in longevity and give you a healthy, strong business.
You have to do the weight loss analogy.
Oh, yeah.
I can't let everyone walk away without it.
Sorry, but yeah, I always put it, it's like, in weight loss, the faster you lose it, the faster you gain it back. It's the same. If you scale, you're going to come right back down because there's nothing holding it up. It's about storytelling, consistency, and as long as you're paying your bills, you're paying your staff, your doors are open, keep going.
Pay your bills.
Pay your bills.
Pay your bills.
Any questions from the audience? Anyone? Christina Nunez, are you in the audience? Any questions from you?
Oh.
Okay, I told you I'd call people out. All right, well, thank you. Oh, wait, we have a question here.
Hi, this question's for Connie. I was wondering, I discovered your product through a subscription box, and I love your hyaluronic serum. And I was wondering, how do you see that contributing to sales, like subscription, gifting, and how have you experimented with those different styles of getting your product out there, and how's the ROI on that been for you?
Ooh, yeah, thanks for your question, and I'm so happy you love jelly drops. Great question, because when we were first starting to scale 3 ships, like from my kitchen, we were just trying to find any revenue opportunity, and subscription boxes was kind of cool for us back then because you got huge POs, and that gave us the cash flow to grow the business because we were bootstrapped with that for $3,000 US. But something that was advice that one of our early investors gave us is to really think about gross margin. And so a year or 2 into the business, we realized, okay, this is not a sustainable way to grow the company by partnering with these large sub boxes unless they're high quality ones that are getting you in front of great customers like you that are aligned with our company. So we actually pivoted our strategy. We cut subscription boxes down to like only 1 or 2 a year, and we only work with big ones like Allure or like Ipsy. And yeah, so we kind of see that as a way to reach new audience that could convert and join your ecosystem, but we focus primarily on D2C and wholesale because we really care about gross margin. Yeah. Hopefully that helped.
She looks satisfied.
Yeah.
Yes. We should all take turn as the mic runners, just to get a little exercise.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I head brands at Douglas, Europe's biggest retailer. First of all, love all your brands. I already know Connie's 3 ships patches. I don't know the other 2 brands, but I will by the end of the day. You talked a lot about storytelling, how important that was. What do you need from us retailers to tell your story in our stores?
Nichola, I feel like you're the storytelling queen.
Yes,
big answer.
I think just support and partnership and understanding like how to let us do that. You know what I mean? And how to let us do that, in a way that also ties in with whatever seasonal priorities or whatever, your priorities are. But I think that we have such great learnings about the way that our storytelling can convert customers and create a loyal customer base. And so sort of trusting a little bit, in partnership with your marketing calendar and your moments, but allowing us to sort of bring forth that perspective as we work and build, that annual calendar together. Because I think that sometimes there can be, oh, well, we have this and we really want you to sort of flex in this way for this particular thing, but that might complicate the story, and then it may make the brand sort of less less recognizable to the customer and therefore less, willing to purchase. And so I think just collaborating on that and really understanding, what is the story that you're trying to tell, and how can we be a part of that scaling of the story.
I love that you asked that, because I feel like with retailers in the room, we need more bridges and less barriers, please. I love that. Thank
Lower
you.
co-op fees.
Any other questions? All right, go enjoy your break and give it up for these ladies.
Thank you.